The Gambia Democratic Congress (GDC) expels 2 National Assembly members for shifting allegiance to President Barrow's NPP. Personnel of the Gambian forces in Jongon's military post decried of lack of water and electricity. And Gambia's Minister of Health has said that the 2016 Tobacco Control Act is still enforced. Well, these and more coming your way in the Gambia 24. Hello, this is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, in the heat of an election period, President Barrow's NPP has gained weight with the expulsion of 2 National Assembly members from the GDC. The Gambia Democratic Congress let go the members for Jara Central and Jokadu constituencies for shifting allegiance from the party that brought them into office in 2017. The official firing of these lawmakers was announced by the majority leader of the National Assembly on behalf of the Speaker on Tuesday. Yedeseka tells us more of that in this report.
In the 2017 parliamentary elections, the Gambia Democratic Congress Party won 5 seats, running at par with holder of the minority leader, National Reconciliation Party, among others, in a battle of 58 representatives. However, the number with the GDC under party leader Mama Kande has condensed following the ejection of 2 parliamentarians from the party. The member for Jara Central and member for Jokadu constituencies have been accused of shifting allegiance to President Barrow's NPP party, leaving GDC with no option than to let them go for good. Their official firing from the party was announced before lawmakers by the majority leader of the House on Tuesday.
Member for Jara Central constituency and 2 Honorable Salif Jao, member for Jokadu constituency. Henceforth, the said honorable members cease to be members of the GDC political party. Accordingly, the table office will facilitate their seating arrangements and other related matters. Thank you.
Speaking to the press after the parliamentary session, the National Assembly member for Jokadu constituency, Salif Jawa, confirmed his exit from the GDC, alleging that his former party leader Mama Kande is a dictator. He said that the support they gave to the private member bill protecting ward councillors didn't go down well with the GDC, and that is among the immediate causes of their expulsion from the party.
Between us and Mama Kande, when this local government private member bill was brought to the parliament, for it to be amended so that councillors also can have their independence. Because what was there is, if a councillor is dismissed by his political party leader or resigns from his political party, then automatically that councillor will lose his or her seat. And then we see to it that it is not fair, because those people are voted by so many Gambians to represent them. So one person should not just wake up one morning and then just sack you from his or her party, and then you automatically lose your seat. So we supported that bill, and then that brought a chaos between us and Mama Kande. The second issue was the draft constitution, which was brought here. We also against it because of national interest, because there were so many hidden things in that draft. We did not support it.
The member for Jara Central, Keba Jalo, questioned the reason for GDC's interference in their decisions as parliamentarians. According to him, Kande's act would lead to the era of dictatorship, which they fought so hard to oust from the State House.
Why is it that he has to tell us that we don't have to support? He has to leave us with our conscience. You see, at the moment you start telling your members that, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, I mean, you are entering into something like what Honorable Salif Jao said. You are becoming a dictator. And this is what we have said, that's what Yajame was doing here. That's what we said here. all of us, the fight that we fought in 2016 was of this nature. It was of this nature. And in fact, that's what warranted when we came in 2017 as the Fifth National Assembly, we removed that section from the 1997 Constitution. That is 91(1)(d), to liberate the National Assembly members so that you can be able to stand in chambers and debate peacefully, objectively.
The two parliamentarians have confirmed their allegiance to President Barrow's NPP now on. With the expulsion of these members from the GDC, the death of the Nyamina West representative last year, the party is now left with two National Assembly representatives. In 2018, the party experienced mass resignations from their top executives, including the deputy party leader, and serving orders in search of what they called a leader and not a boss. Khadija Sega, iAfrica News.
Mama Kande's GDC there fired two lawmakers for shifting allegiance to President Barrow's National People's Party. Now, the Minister of Health has reminded Gambians that the enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act 2016 and Tobacco Control Regulation 2019 is still enforced. In a press release, the ministry noted with concern over the law compliance among the public, despite the numerous efforts to raise awareness on the dangers of tobacco use. The CISE has more details of that in this report.
Tobacco industry intervention remains a critical component that undermines and delays tobacco control interventions, as well as tobacco tax reform process in the Gambia. According to the Gambia Tobacco Industry Mapping Report, the country has one of the strongest tobacco control laws in Africa, with 100% smoking-free provisions that prohibit smoking in all public places. Despite these laws and regulations, the Health Ministry said there is a low compliance rate among the public.
The ministry has noted with concern the low compliance rate among the public and institutions in spite of the numerous radio, television and community engagement programs conducted to sensitize the public on the law and regulations. In addition to the public sensitization programs, the Deputy IGP on behalf of the IGP also made a televised statement on the 12th November 2020, reminding and soliciting the cooperation of the public on the enforcement of the laws and regulations.
The ministry further reminded the public once again about some of the provisions of the Act.
A smoke-free environment ensures that every person has a right to smoke free. A person consuming a tobacco product, including shisha, shall ensure that he or she does not expose another person to tobacco smoke. A person shall not smoke in any public places, workplace and public transport. A person shall not smoke in an enclosed space that is within 100 meters of a public place.
According to the Gambia Tobacco Industry Mapping Survey, tobacco companies are not as significant as they claim to be as far as the country's economy is concerned. The report proved that they often exaggerate the tax they pay and the number of staff under their payroll. Therefore, their claims are found misleading and false. Despite the progress registered, financial resources to support tobacco control efforts in the Gambia are very limited. As a result, experts say more effort is needed to strengthen Tobacco Control Act and regulations in the country. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy Se.
And from the report there by Daisy, in some local, of course, other local news, I know Majilak Jalibag is a new sand dragging company located at the Denton Bridge along the Banjul Highway with the ambition of selling sand to Gambian people without causing disaster. In an interview with Africa TV, the PRO of the company, Bankamane, said they felt the need to penetrate the market so as not to repeat the kind of disaster that unfolded a few years ago. Here's more details of that by Amindao.
Sand mining being the extraction of sand from various land and water bodies such as the beach, inland dunes, and riverbed is a vibrant industry as no infrastructural development can go entirely behind it. So the demand for sand continues to grow as a valuable resource for construction. Few years on the line of history, The coastal line of certain places and their unique sand dunes were the only source of sand for the construction industry in the Gambia. This is known to have resulted in serious environmental problems such as land degradation, loss of agricultural lands, and biodiversity. Sino Majilak Jalbak, as a new sand dragging company, chose to take a little different path, heading towards the deep sea as the center of its mining activities. Bankamani, the public relations officer of the company, says the project was set up in response to the demand of the population for quality sand for construction without posing any environmental risk.
Sand is one of those commodities in this country that is badly needed. I mean, the construction in this country is booming. I mean, there's a huge amount of construction going on. And sadly, over the years, you know, the kind of mode of accessing the sand has not been really the best, you know, process. The environmental disaster that has unfolded is no news to nobody, so I don't want to dwell on that. But after the Faraba incident, the founders of the company felt the need to really create a company like this, where we can be able to provide these facilities in the country without the kind of disaster that has been unfolding over the years.
Even though the company has its own truck drivers to deliver the sand for the customers, buyers are allowed to use their own transport services for reduced prices.
We have our own trucks here, as you can see, and if anybody is interested in sand, they can always call us. And our agents are on standby to respond to any questions that they might have. We also have you know, truck drivers out there, or trucking companies, if you will, who are also on the standby in case somebody needs to order it through them, they can. But then we have our own trucks also. So the public is welcome to come with their own trucks, is what I meant. And we have our own trucks to also provide the sand if they need us to also fulfill that need for them.
The PRO of Sino Majilak Jalbak took some time to explain their mode of demand and supply with respect to pricings.
The size, we don't sell by truck size, even though that's how it's communicated most of the time in the country. We sell the sand by cubic meters. So $650 per cubic meter, which if you put it in a local lingo, it's terms, it's called wheel. So the 10 wheel, for instance, which is a truck that they call the 10 wheel, is supposed to be the 10 cubic meters. So, and that 10 cubic meter, basically, if you multiply the 650 by 10, that's $6,500 for the 10 cubic meter, for that 10 wheeler. And so that's excluding the transportation. So if you bring your own truck, you can get sand out of here for $6,500. During the rains here, everybody knows sand can be very expensive. But our effort is also to make sure that's stabilized and keep the prices as reasonable as possible.
In one aspect, the sand mining company is new in terms of existence and new in terms of the venture in deep sea and sand mining. It operates with about 20 employees who are mainly Gambian in different operational positions.
Sino Majilak Jalbak is a sand dragging company at the verge of providing sand to the Gambians. The company started this project 2 years ago with the aim of providing sand to the people without destroying the environment, and to stop them from crying over their land degradation due to sand mining. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Amindao reporting there as a new degrading sand company vows to improve the sand operations and business in the country. Now, the recent increment in the prices of meat has raised a great concern for Gambians, especially ordinary citizens. Cattle traders and butchers blame one another for the sudden low production of meat in the country, resulting to the hike in prices of meat. Our reporter, Kajetu Seka, visited the butchers and the cattle traders and see files in this report.
The Gambia remains a predominantly agricultural country as far as employment is concerned. The livestock production sector plays a pivotal role in the country's GDP. But despite its contribution, people who are engaged in cattle trading travel to either Senegal, Mali or other countries in the sub-region to buy ruminants with only few from the Gambia. The fluctuating exchange rates are considered to be one of the challenges by the cattle traders, locally known as jewelers and the butchers. In an interview with iAfrica TV, parties blame one another for the low meat production in the country.
When the butchers come for the cattle, whatever amount you tell them, they will agree, because they are not paying in cash. When they sell the cattle, they will take out their expenditures and tell you that your cattle has lost a profit of 2,000, 3,000 or even 5,000. You wouldn't able to do anything, because if you take them to court, you will add more frustration on yourself, but you won't get justice.
But for Daruba, a cattle trader, the problem is as a result of government's lack of support to the traders.
The difficulties that we are in today, for instance, when you go to Senegal, their traders work with the government. I said so because the African Development Bank and Agriculture are the ones that use their money and resources to fund their traders. When merchandise is plentiful, there is likely to be losses. But here, the government would never help the poor. Since last year, they brought money saying it is the traders' money. We have been following it with them since last year, but we are yet to receive anything. This is how they will do until the project money is finished.
In response, Yahya Jame, a butcher, explained the reason why they are being accused of not paying their debts in full.
If you give your cattle to someone for loan, you should make it in a proper way, so that if he sells it, you can get back your money. But if you are giving me the cattle for $35,000, how will I make profit? It won't be easy. Give it to me at a reasonable price. When I sell it, I will also give you back your money. That is why it is difficult. You will buy a cattle for a price and add an interest rate, which is very difficult for us. We will have to take it because this is our job. If the cattle is 30,000, but you sell it at 40,000, so if a butcher agrees to take it, in most cases, he would owe you some money.
Ibrahim Gates stated that the high price involved in the sales of the ruminants is sometimes responsible for their losses.
The problem is price you dey jay, price you dey jay butcher, price you no ya do dey gene nak bi du ko dey gene.
The problem is the price in which they normally sell to the butchers is usually not the price of the cattle. So if the cattle should cost $40,000, they will rather sell it for $50,000. So if the butcher does not have that kind of money to buy the cattle, then you will have to take it as a loan. And if you do so, you won't make profit at all. So if you give the cattle owner $10,000, it will be definitely a problem. So the only thing you can do is to refund him the actual amount of the cattle without any interest. Even that, the cattle owner will still think you ate his money. This is why the butchers who have money normally buy in cash. That's what I normally do.
They call on the government to come to their aid and to help them revive their businesses. Justice delayed, they say, is justice denied. The cattle traders also urge the justice sector to speed up and consider their cases that are still pending in the courts. Karigetu Seka, iAfrica News.
The skyrocketing of prices of meat in the country in recent times raises concerns among Gambians. Now, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, in collaboration with the government of Denmark, on Monday engaged stakeholders on regional conference on the domestication of atrocity prevention at the state level. The Director of Faculty Affairs and Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center said the states and institutions in Africa remain mooted over the atrocities committed in the Gambia. And the CISE has more of that in this report.
The conference is geared towards promoting peace and security in the sub-region, as well as building capacities for atrocity prevention. Several atrocities, including right violations, torture, arbitrary arrest and detention, enforced disappearances and killings were allegedly committed under the 22-year rule of Yahya Jammeh. Despite these atrocities, African states and institutions paid a deaf ear to it. In light of this, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, together with the Denmark government, seeks to promote peace and security across the sub-region, considering the status of human rights in Africa. The Director of Faculty Affairs and Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Annan, said the initiative could not have come at a better time as the people of the Gambia had gone through a lot of atrocities during 2017 political impasse.
But there's also a bit of a problem that whilst these atrocities went on in Gambia, with the exception of the European states, the African states and institutions were quiet. So we see your elections in 2017 and the effort at establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission as a bold effort at telling yourselves and sending a signal to the rest of African countries, first, that you failed in our hour of need, that we ourselves are willing and prepared as Gambians to confront that history and to say, never again in the history of Gambia will we allow one person to undermine state institutions, threaten communities, abuse individuals, and send a signal to the world that what we have signed on to, we do not respect it.
Director Annan said they will engage the most critical institutions, including the IEC and the police, emphasizing that the success of the December 4th election in the Gambia is an important sign that the country can be a leader in the democratic processes.
The way the media reports the election is also crucial in stabilizing the tensions and the misunderstandings that can arise. So we'll be looking forward to talking to your national organization, possibly creating some training. But I know that prior to December, sometime around October, November, we will be coming back to provide some targeted, training to quite a number of institutions. The success of your elections in December is a crucial indicator that Gambia can still be a leader in democratic processes. Now, as I know, that almost every election that has taken place in the last 18 months in West Africa has had some difficulties.
Meanwhile, the head of Peace of Support Operations Program, Frank Okairi Osei, explained the significance of the initiative to the Gambia.
Well, we are hoping that this will open up the space for us to further our engagements with the government of the Gambia in terms of promoting national mechanisms for atrocity prevention. We will continue to engage the leadership of the Gambia in the subsequent months and years coming so that we can find appropriate interventions that we think will bring the dream of never again in terms of the prevention of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity to reality.
Elections are one of the root causes of atrocities in many West African states. As a result, Frank hopes that the upcoming December 4th election in the Gambia will be a peaceful one. Major General Francis Oforu, Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, said that the findings of the various field studies will be presented at the conference to avail participants and experts the opportunity to make further inputs in making the final country report to reflect the situation on the ground. Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center commenced its first full annual training and education cycle in March 2004 and has since expanded its curriculum to over 20 different courses. The institution, until the beginning of 2016, has offered over 230 courses in diverse aspects of peace support operation for over 11,000 military, police and civilian personnel from 88 different countries. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
And from the report there by Daisy on fight against atrocities, we would now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back. There's more news coming ahead.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia. It's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back, and you are watching the Gambia 24 News Bulletin, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, during his yearly tour to military posts across the country, personnel of the Yangon military post have lamented the lack of water and electricity as a major hindrance to their daily duties to better serve the people of the sub-region. CDS Trame, however, told them that everything is determined by the availability of funds, but promised to provide water as soon as possible. Our reporter, Mariama Cham, who is traveling with the CDS, files in this report.
The Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Yakuba Drame, was received by Commanding Officer of the Nyungun Military Base, Major Jenaba Sane, and the village community elders on Monday afternoon. Both the community and the military post in Nyungun village in the North Bank region of the country cried out to the military boss on the lack of electricity and scarcity of water to perform even a basic performance. During his previous visit to the camp, the CDS says he had made numerous follow-up calls to the company to look into the matter. CDS promised both the community of Nyungun and the military camp that they will have access to water as soon as possible.
Remember, everything is determined by the availability of funds. And that is why my interaction with you, usually, I'm not tempted to make unwarranted promises. I want to tell you what I can do. If I give you my word, be assured that will be done. Today I was told about water. Last year the water was not the problem. But I can give you my word, that would be solved. Within 1 month, I don't expect you to go and fetch water. I can give you my word.
Lieutenant General CDS Drame also discourages soldiers from taking part in political rallies or campaigns as officers of the armed forces. But he was quick to recognize that the men and women in uniform have the right to vote in any election as long as they are eligible.
As a fine institution like the military, we cannot afford to take part in politics. I've said it to you the last time, and I want to repeat myself today again. I will not partake in politics. If I cannot participate in politics, what would cause you to participate in politics? Let's stay away from politics. Let's not get ourselves involved in politics.
Tree planting exercise was also conducted by the Army Chief and other officials of his entourage. This is his second tour of military camps since he was appointed as Chief of Defense Staff to steer the affairs of the Gambia Armed Forces. Reporting for iAfrica News from Farafenye, I am Mariama Cham.
Cham reporting there as Gambia's Chief of Defense Staff tours the country to visit, of course, the different military posts across the country. And from the report, there are now two matters of the National Assembly, because the National Assembly member for Banjul South, Honorable Tuman Jai, has on Monday moved a motion to summon the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources before the lawmakers in Banjul, describing it as a matter of urgency. Tuman Jai based her argument on the fact that the state of fishing in the coastline is displeasing and distasteful. And here's more details of that in this report by Ndesise.
Although the majority of Gambians depend on fish as their main source of meal, The sector continues to face challenges such as illegal and juvenile fishing in the country. This bad practice, critics say, is having a significant negative impact in terms of economic losses, leading to poor fishing in the Gambia. As a result, the Honorable Member for Banjul South, Tumanjai, moved a motion to summon the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources to appear before the lawmakers to explain the state of fisheries in the Gambia.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion under Section 53K to summon the Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources as a matter of urgency to answer to this August House as to the state of the Fisheries Department and to the recent revelations that we have seen, Madam Speaker.
According to Tumanjai, when the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources appeared before the Parliament some time back, he misled them by giving them false information.
Seeing the distasteful state of fish lying in our coastlines. And Madam Speaker, if you recall, some time back, I asked the Minister of Fisheries the state of the coastal line and the damage that's being done. And he stood here in front of this August Assembly and blatantly gave us false information that we were following social media. Madam Speaker, it is now time to ask him to come back and tell us the real state, because this is displeasing. And Madam Speaker, we all see the skyrocketing price of fish in this country, and we've all seen how our citizens are being restricted because they cannot afford the cost of fish. Meanwhile, Madam Speaker, we have seen thousands and thousands of fish. When we woke up this morning, it is in the media and we have seen it, and it's been confirmed that this is happening. So we want the Honorable Minister, as a matter of urgency, to come and clear this.
Responding to the motion, Honorable Member for Upper Salum, Alajimbo, suggested that Tumanjai provides evidence to justify rather than merely saying it.
Again, as a parliament, I think it's quite important that if we have things like this, we need to have some evidence. Just merely saying that we have seen, I have not seen anything. So I would suggest if the honorable member can provide some documentation or some evidence about this thing, because we cannot just base a motion based on allegation or based on something we don't have. We must be based on facts.
At the end of the motion, the majority of the lawmakers agreed for the motion to be passed. Industrial fishing for local processing in the Gambia has nearly collapsed due to increased illegal fishing, poor surveillance of the fisheries resources in the high seas. However, it is said that 90% of the world's fish are either overfished or fully exploited, and $23 billion worth of seafood is stolen from the sea annually through unreported and unregulated fishing. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Desise.
And from the report there on matters of the National Assembly, on to our last story next we go. Because the Operation Zero Crime West Coast Region Patrol Team has on Tuesday paraded a suspect with some stolen items at the Banjulundin police station. The suspect, who is reported to used a minor as an informant, was arrested with some suspected stolen items and is being charged with breaking and stealing. More details of that in this report by Bint Jallo.
On Tuesday, a suspect by the name Amadou Diallo was paraded by the West Coast Region Patrol Team at the Banjulundin police station. He is suspected to have stolen items from a shop that he has broken into. The items include perfumes, bags, chargers, some clothes and other valuables. The suspect was arrested with a bag of stolen properties, which he was subjected to a diligent investigation leading to the uncovering of a shop-breaking case. The police probe further discovered that he had hidden some other items at a bunker somewhere in his residence. The officers also intercepted 3 motorcycles, which are also suspected to be stolen properties, according to the public relations officer, Superintendent Njai. A 14-year-old was also arrested, and he is said to be an alleged criminal informant.
We have a young minor with us here. We will definitely not call the name or or show the person, but actually it's important for the public to know the reason why we are having this person. He has revealed to the police that he has been used by some adults, some criminal rings, to to lay surveillance on people. What he does is sometimes he goes to the bank and observe people who withdraw a lot of cash from the bank, then he will follow them. If he knows where they have entered or the areas they have visited, then he will transmit this information to those gangs, and eventually they will find their way to that particular compound or location.
Superintendent Njai urged the general public to be vigilant.
The reason why we are saying this is for people to be vigilant at all times. If you find yourself in a bank, if you park your car, or if you are in your house and you see some innocent kid around you, you should be able to sympathize and empathize, but equally be very vigilant, because we may not know if he is one of those individuals.
The Commissioner of West Coast Region, Pati Jallow, said they are doing their best to save lives and properties, but hasten to call on the general public to assist the police in the execution of the Operation Zero Crime. Commissioner Jallow also highlighted some of their challenges.
On this Operation Zero Crime, and at the same time to help the police in protecting life and properties, to come forward with information and to make use of the numbers that have been displayed in the way that it is called for, because some calls sometimes are very unwarranted. You cannot be calling people overnight telling them certain issues which you know at the end of the day that can tantamount to discouraging the people or so forth, because at some point somebody did call that the person is been stabbed somewhere in Westfield when it is not true. So those are things, the challenges that we sometimes face. But as far as I am concerned and the police force is concerned, under the leadership of the Inspector General of Police, who is Abulai Sanyang, nothing can distract us and nothing can intimidate us. We will always work hand in glove with the other sister services to make sure everybody's life is protected. Thank you.
Lamin Jai called on the general public who might recognize the motorcycles to go to Banjulindin police station to help the police in the identification process. Since the launch of Operation Zero Crime, significant arrests have been registered by the Gambia Police Force. The operation, initiated by the Inspector General of Police, is meant to target criminal hubs within the Greater Banjul and the West Coast region. The objective of the move is to tackle crime and criminal activities within communities and to dismantle all criminal hideouts, as well as prosecute offenders in accordance with the law. For iAfrica News, Binte Jallow.
And that report there by Binti Jallow brings this tonight's Gambia 24 News Bulletin to an end. More details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on iAfrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching and do have a pleasant night. Bye for now.